thing I always need reminding. Cool. So welcome to September's Hypno Connect. We are going to be talking about sales conversation, which I'm going to do right now. And then after that, we're going to do a little bit of networking like we did last time. And then Sarah is going to get on and she's going to be doing some imposter syndrome removal stuff with you. So if you feel that you are one of those people that has oh, well, I'm not quite good enough for that. Everybody else is better than me, or they're this, that, and the other, then this is right up your street. It is also something that you are going to be able to use. Anything we do here, you'll be able to use for yourself in your business to help your business grow, but also to work with your clients and help them too. So I will be sending you out, or Sarah and I will be sending you out the document that I'm going to sort of work through some notes on this for you about that sales conversation, because last month we did about bringing in the leads. This time it is about that sales conversation, because it's that conversation that either wins or loses the business. Okay, so it is very important. But remember that sales conversation is about happiness, which may or may not resonate with you, because people choose what makes them happiest and brings them the most fulfillment and the most success. So in other words, when we have that conversation with potential clients, it is really comes down to, do they want to keep the money in their pocket more than the service we are offering them? So what actually on a very deep subconscious level goes on is that, so will the money bring me more happiness, or will the potential of this service bring me more happiness and more success, more fulfillment? And if the answer is yes, you make the sale. If the answer is no, then you don't make the sale, in plain, simple, basic terms. So basically what we're doing is we are giving them reasons why they should part with the money in their pocket and give it to you or give it to me. Now, I'm also aware that quite a lot of people, and this is myself to a same extent, I don't like to be salesy, and sometimes it may feel wrong or awkward to ask for money, to ask for the sale. But actually, that's quite often the bit that we don't do that we actually do need to do. Because that's the bit where we say, well, how is this for you? You know, do you want me to book you in? Do you want to buy my product? If we had an actual physical product to sell, it may very well be easier to do that, but we don't. It's a service, and they are kind of buying into us. Well, we know they're buying into us. So don't let it be personal, because it's not personal. This is a pure transaction of energy. Okay. Anyway, so there are 5 steps to this conversation, right? The first step, step 1, is ask why they are interested in your services. What is their motivation? We need to know this. We need to know what their motivation is. So the opening statement that we make when we first click on to have that conversation can be something along the line of, there are so many options to help you with weight loss, and I'm sure you've probably tried some of them. So I'd like to have a chat with you about your specific needs to determine whether hypnosis with me, now that for me is quite important, because every hypnotherapist works differently and a different way. So what I'm actually saying is, well, you might have tried hypnosis for somebody else, but I want to make sure that what I do, the way I do hypnosis, is right for you. Okay. And that helps them to, it helps to solidify why they're there with you having this conversation. Okay. Other versions can be, well, what's brought you here to me today? How would you like me to help you? What would make a difference to you? Maybe you might want to use that, change some of these slightly, or move it to further down the conversation, but that's what we're doing. In your ideal world, what would you like to be doing or have or feeling or behaving like? That's another good one. Okay. And the most important thing that we quite often forget with this sales conversation, and I think a lot of it is down to nerves, is to listen. We are great at that in the therapy room, but I think sometimes we don't listen enough when we do that sales conversation. And my suspicion is that most of the time it's because of nerves, because we don't feel comfortable with that salesy thing. But be yourself. This is what I will say to all of you, and anybody that ever asks me about this, I will say, just be yourself. Just listen and talk to people. Okay. The second step then is to understand the client. Repeat back to them what they've just told you, or your understanding of what they've just told you. Because this is I would say this is probably the most important bit, because you think about it, when people come to you, and if you go to somebody else for treatment, you want to know that they understand you and they get you. They get your issue. They get what you're talking about on their level. So if we can show them that we understand them, then 3/4 of the job is already done. Because are you going to go to somebody that you have that feeling that they understand you, or are you going to go to somebody that's just giving you the answers that you have that feeling they haven't quite got you, or they're just telling you what they think you want to hear? I'm going to go with my gut instinct. I'm going to go with the one that I feel really understands me, the one that I've connected with. Okay. So this is why this bit is really important. We listen, just the same as we do in the therapy room. And then we repeat it back to say, can I just make sure that I've really understood what you're actually saying and what it is that you need? And if you make a mistake, if you've missed something out, that does not matter, because you will get away. Not that there's any need to get away with anything, but it doesn't matter. They'll be fine with it, because you are wanting to make sure you've understood them. So anybody is going to be okay with that. So, you can say things like, I just want to make sure I've understood you correctly. I think I might have missed something, but I just want to make sure. Can I just make sure I've got this right? I've understood what you need, what you want. And you must get an agreement from them that you've got it right. Okay. So in other words, when you've repeated back to them, if they're nodding, you just say, is that correct? Have I got it right? And if they say yes, perfect. You can then move on to the next step. If they add a little bit in, right, okay, so you need this, this, and this. So go back, but make a shorter version. Right, so I've got it. So you want to be able to feel a bit more confident. You want to be able to open your mouth and stand up for yourself when you need to, but still be your calm and relaxed, friendly self. Great. Now I've really got it. Now I really understand what it is. So what we're doing is we are reiterating that we really do get them. We really do understand. We know exactly what we're going to do. Right. Okay. Now I know how I can help you. Now I really get that. I know how I can help you with that. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah. Good. And if we don't get an agreement from them, if they say, that's not quite what I mean, oh, please go up, please just really do tell me what it is that I've missed, because you must get that agreement before you move on to step 3. Okay. Now, step 3 is probably where, sorry, I've got such an itchy nose this morning. Step 3 is probably where most of us make the biggest mistake. Okay. Because this is when we talk about what we can do for them, how we can help them, our service. The danger here is that we go into verbal diarrhea overload. Okay. So in other words, what I mean by that is we go on and 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 on about hypnosis and what we do and because we're so passionate about it, because we know that we can make a difference for them. So this is the bit we need to stick to, the bit that concerns them. Now, do you know, I can be as guilty as anyone with this. And this is the bit that I have to really work on carefully over. They don't want to know you've been a hypnotherapist for 20 years. They don't want to know that you've trained the King of England and the this, that, and the other. They are only interested in what you can do for them. They're only interested in their bit. They don't want to know that you've had a practice in Outer Mongolia for 30 years and you've got 40 therapists under you and all this business. It might be interesting to you, but actually it's not necessarily interesting to them. Okay, so this step 3 is where, if I'm smart enough, and I haven't been smart enough recently, if I'm smart enough, I'll make a short note, probably on a post-it note like that, of bullet points of things to mention. Okay, just to remind myself to stay within those parameters and not wander off. Okay.
So what would you write, Helen, on that post-it note, for instance?
On my post-it note, I'd probably actually write just a quick sentence to remind myself to stay on track, and I'd probably write something like what they need, just about them, or something along those lines, to remind me to stay in that area of this is just about them. It's not about everything else that goes along with my business, or me for that matter. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? And please don't take any of this personally. This is where I've personally made mistakes. This is where I'm sure Sarah's made mistakes, and Rebecca. So we don't want you to make the same mistakes. Okay, just keep it to what is relevant for them. And I might even write that on my post-it note, actually. If there's specific things, what a session is like, what's a session, how much it costs, how I think it will help them, the tools that I'll teach them, the recordings they'll get. That's what I'm going to stick to. I might mention about another client, because that brings into step 4, where we answer any questions. Do you have any questions for me? Is there anything you'd like me to ask? Because I know what it's like, and this is what I quite often say. I always think of that doctor scenario. As you're just walking out the door, or after you shut the door on the doctor's surgery, you go, oh, damn it, meant to ask this, that, and the other. So I always put in something along the lines of, is there anything you would like to ask me? Do you have any questions? And if they say no, so you sure? Have I covered everything? And then I will always say to them, if there's something that you remember after we finish this call, because I know what that's like, then please just drop me a note and I'll answer your question. So what I'm doing is I'm doing my best to be open and to cover off as many potential reasons why they may not buy for me as possible. Okay. So when we have done that and they understand what it's going to be like working with you, remember, keep it tight. Okay, you come into my office, we'll have a chat like we're doing now. I will teach you a tool, a coping strategy that you can use wherever you are. You don't need to do hypnosis, and then we'll do some hypnosis that will be recorded on your phone so that you can listen to it on a daily basis to help you progress much quicker and much easier, because the mind is all about repetition. I am not going to go into a long-winded explanation about the mind and mindset unless they ask me questions about it. I might mention a couple of small things, but it will only be literally a sentence. It's not going to be a full-on explanation of how the subconscious works, how the mind works, how the neuroplasticity works, and all that sort of stuff, because that's for much further down the road if they want to know when we're having sessions. Because if we do go into too much verbalization when we are doing that step 3, then we will lose and it will put them off really quickly, because they'll think, oh my God, your session is going to be just the same way you're talking all about yourself, and that's not what I'm here for. I need to get stuff off my chest. Okay.
Yeah.
So when we move on to step 4, do you have any, have you got any questions? Is there anything you'd like to ask me? We need to listen. Again, it's that listening thing, and no interruptions, just listen. and then agree with what they're saying. So we validate what they're saying in some way, because that makes them feel that they are their opinion matters. They are valued. We value what they say. We are not going to pull them down. We're going to support them. So, if they have a particular question and you actually really don't agree with it, find a way to agree and say, have you thought about it like this? Because we're giving them another way of thinking about it without being challenging, without disrespecting their opinion, their feelings. Okay. So the first thing we need to remember, after we've agreed, we then need to suggest. Let me suggest, could I make a suggestion? I would suggest that you would do really, really well. You will benefit most from a 6-session package, a 4-session package, whatever it is that you feel is right for them. Okay. Remember, it's about feeling. I understand how you feel. These are the bits we need to get across. I understand how you feel. Many others have felt very similar to you, or in a similar way, but they've found once they start working with me, once we've started unpicking all of this stuff, that they've started to feel like their old selves again, which is what most people want. Okay. And then we can ask them again, do you have anything else you'd like to ask? Is there any questions? But just remember, only use this question when you want to bring the questions to a close. Do you have any other questions? That basically is saying, I'm done talking, I'm done asking you about questions. Most people will take that subconsciously as a click to say, stop, no more questions. Okay, so only use that when they've dried up with questions and you're just really, because they will then take that slightly differently. Oh, have I got any other questions? No, I think you've answered anything. Great. But if you do think of anything, please just let me know, drop me a line, and then I can answer that for you. Okay. Does all of that make sense so far? Yeah. So step 5, this is the last bit, and this is the bit, like I said, people struggle with the most, or one of the things that they struggle with the most, is to ask for the sale, to close the sale and ask for it. Okay. So this is my own personal line. I don't know whether it's good or bad, but it's comfortable for me. And if it's comfortable for me, I will ask it appropriately and it'll come across really well. My line goes like this. Once I've done all of those things, my line goes like this. How does all of that sound to you? And in between all that, by the way, I've told them the cost. How does that sound to you? This can also be a prompt to any other things that you've missed in the questions to ask, so you can take a few steps back. So if they say, yeah, that sounds, that sounds okay. That tells you then that, hang on a second, they're not sure. You need to go back a little bit. Okay, so is there anything I've missed out? Is there anything you're not sure about? Because I'm hearing that you're a bit unsure. So that will then take you a few steps back. What is it I've missed? I might have missed something. Well, I'm just not sure on, if this is going to work for me. Okay. Hypnosis generally is a really good tool and works for the vast majority of people. The people that I work with, the ones that have the most success, are the ones that do everything I ask them to do. The ones that don't bother to listen to their recordings, they don't do any of the practice any of the tools that I teach them, are the ones that probably have the least success. And this is where I remind them that this is a working partnership. I will have just told them that before. This is a working partnership between you and me. I do my bit, you will need to do your bit. You will get out of it what you put into it, just like everything else. And if I'm just picking on weight because it's an easy example to use. So if they've done a particular, let's say they've been to Weight Watchers, because most people will identify with any Weight Watchers or Slimming World. So you've been to Slimming World, they've given you the recipe books. If you don't follow their diet regime and their recipes, or you only do it once a week, what kind of results would you expect from that? But this is just the same. I'm going to help you with your mindset. But if you decide or choose to, oh, well, it doesn't really matter today, it doesn't matter tomorrow, oh, well, I'll just do it next week when I've got time, then you are going to see the results from those choices just the same as you would do with Weight Watchers, and you decided to just do one recipe a week, because that'd be okay. Because people will understand that. Because what we also want to get across to them is that they need to take responsibility for their own personal therapy improvements. We are getting them to take responsibility. We realistically do not want those people necessarily that come in, sit down, put the feet up and wait for you to do all the work. And when I walk out the door, I'm going to be 20 pounds lighter. And when I wake up tomorrow, and I've actually had this, when I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to be 20 pounds lighter. I won't be bothered about food. It'll have all disappeared and I'll be like a stick insect. It does with some people, and this was one of those people. It doesn't matter how many times you reiterate that they will only get out of it what they put into it. They need to do what you ask them to do, etc., etc., etc. They still don't hear it. Doesn't matter how many times or different ways you tell them, they still won't hear it. And that was the case with this person. So one of the other things you can say to them is, if they say, when you say, how does this sound? And they go, yeah, that sounds really, really good. Okay. Would you like to book in for that first appointment? That's asking for the sale. Those two lines is asking for the sale.
I say, let's book
And
you
at that
in.
point, they'll either say, yes, actually, I will, or no.
Yeah, I say, let's book you in then. What would you like? Morning, afternoon, or evening?
Yeah.
I'm giving them a triple bind.
So we are using, that's a really good one, Sarah. I should just call you all Doris today.
Yeah, just call us all Doris, that's fine.
So far, is that all helpful for you all so far? Yeah, good. So one of the other biggest fears, and if they say no to booking in, well, actually, no. Okay, so what is it that's holding you back? That's another good sentence to put in when somebody says, well, actually, no. So what is holding you back? Have I missed something? Now that sentence, I use that sentence, and I only remember it because it was just before, not long before COVID. So that sentence will be along the lines of, because what you're actually doing is you're making them think. And it might be the procrastinator that you've got sat in front of you that will overthink something. So what's holding you back from making a choice today? Or maybe I've missed something. Then that gives you the opportunity to go back a bit, to listening again, to making sure that you've answered all their questions and etc., etc. Well, actually, nothing. Okay, so if nothing is holding you back, would it be better for you to start? And this is going back to what Sarah's just said. Would it be better for you to start now and experience the changes quicker? Or would you prefer to wait till another week or so?
Love it. Double bind. Love it.
So again, we're encouraging them softly to say, and if they really do say, actually, no, I still want to talk to my husband about this. Okay, how about I give you a call next week and see where you are with that then? Because I'm not going to sit and push somebody, because that's going to completely ruin the rapport. But when I did that question to her, and this was a procrastinator, I said, well, what's holding you back? Because she'd agreed with every single thing that I'd said. So I knew that she knew that what I was offering was actually going to work for her. And she actually said, well, And you could see her trying to rack her brains for an objection. She said, actually, I don't know. There's nothing. Okay, shall we book you in then? And she went, yeah, go on, book me in. And she's been one of my biggest advocates since. Because she then went wholeheartedly in. So, any questions about that process so far?
One of my questions I ask as well, if they're especially if they're on the cusp there, is how much is this costing you? So this issue that you have, how much is it costing you? It's stopping you from doing what? So it's, you know, it's costing them, or yes, if it's say it's smoking, it's costing them, you know, the money, but how much is it costing them in their health and their relationship and their everyday life?
And one of the things that I always do, and I suggest you do the same, is make notes. When I have these conversations, I make notes. Partly because I will never remember that conversation afterwards. And if they become a client, I've already got notes to give me a kickstart, so I know exactly which angle to take on that first session. So it gives me heads up. But equally, if they do have objections, like Sarah's just said, you can then say to them, okay, so you go back to what it is that they are struggling with, because that's going to be their motivation for change, is to change that feeling, that behavior. So how much difference would it make to you then if you could do X, Y, and Z, if you could get on that plane and go and have that lifetime experience that you've been waiting for the last 20 years? And it might be that you mention a similar client that you've worked with. There was a client I had a couple of months ago, actually, that had something very similar to you. Don't make it the same, make it similar to you, that had been saving up. And this was a very deeply personal trip they needed to make to, if you're in Australia, over to the UK, or if you're in the UK, over to Australia, for mum, and blah, blah, blah. And they were able to get on that plane, and it meant so much to them. Okay. So objections, this is always the thing that catches people out, because we kind of give up too soon. It just means, especially the first one, I want to think it over. There's 4 objections that you generally get, 1 of 4. I want to think it over actually means you haven't done enough of a job convincing them or explaining to them what your service is about and how it can help them. Okay. You haven't, you know, you need to go back. You haven't done a good enough job on the first 3 steps, basically. Okay. You haven't understood them in the right way. This is where we get back to that. When they say, I want to think it over. Okay, so is there anything I've missed? Because I have a feeling I might have missed something, or I may not have quite understood you. So we're taking them back to that step 2. Okay. And I really want to, and I want to understand what it is that you need specifically, and then repeat why you think they want help, what you think they want help with. Because this is how I've got it, that. So is this, what have I missed from that? Okay. So the second objection is that they're not being completely honest. We know that people aren't always honest about why they're there, what they want, what they need, especially if it's deeply personal. So we can say things like, is there anything that you haven't told me that would help me to understand you better, or understand what you need better? Is there anything else I might need to know that would help me to understand you better and therefore help you better? Sometimes they say, oh, it's the cost and the price, because they genuinely want to shop around. There are some shoppers. Now, it is a personal choice here. I personally don't like shoppers, because it makes me feel like, again, it's feelings, that they don't value. But then, have I done a good enough job at getting them to understand the value of working with me? That could be a question we could debate. But somewhat, there are some people that don't buy on the first chat. They might need to have another chat with you. So maybe if you feel that they are that type of person, maybe you could, you've given them too much information on the first one. Maybe they need to have another chat with you so that they can digest the information you've already given them, and then they need to be able to digest more. Okay, if you want to have a shop around, would you like to book another quick chat so that I can answer any other questions once you've had a chance to digest this? So it probably means that what you've done is give them too much verbal information. You've not stayed enough in that tight what's in it for them, that tight them box. Okay. And the fourth one is afraid that they've overlooked something. They can be afraid that they've missed something, they've overlooked something. And we can say with that one, oh, that's fine. How much time do you need then? So we can then, okay, how much time do you need? And I'll give you a call back, or just drop you a line. I'll give you a call back. We can have another meeting. Okay. But quite often, and I do this myself actually sometimes, if somebody says, oh yeah, I just want to think about it, or sometimes I will pursue it a little bit. So is there anything else that I've missed? And if you go, no, I think you're pretty thorough. Now you can read that several ways. Either shut up, Helen, I'm ready to come off the call, or Helen, you've talked on too much. You've given me too much information and you've bamboozled me. You know, you'll get a feeling for them anyway. Okay. Any questions about the objections? But you will find your own ways around these, by the way. With practice and with time, you will find your own ways. Any questions?
Deborah?
Oh, Anita, that's a great question. How much time does it take me? Well, I usually allocate half an hour. I allow in my diary about 45 minutes, because if I haven't done a good enough job by then I'm going over the top.
So is this a free strategy call, Helen?
Sorry, say again?
Is that a free strategy call you're talking about?
Yes. I do a free strategy call. I call it a free chat, partly because I think it sounds less threatening and more friendly than where you come in on a sales call. Because if you say, for some people, if you say things like strategy call or discovery call, I know that's the professional way to say it, but I feel immediately under pressure to buy, and I feel I might be sold to quite heavily. So for me personally, that feels quite, oh God, they're going to expect me to make a commitment. But if I say a free chat, I feel quite okay about that. And I'll tell you the rest of that sentence in a moment. But yes, it is a free thing. But what I do is on my website, I have a free 30-minute call. So before they book the call, they know they've only got half an hour. So it stops their whole life story coming out. And they tell me exactly that. Again, they stay within that box of what they need help with and why. Does that make sense? Yeah. But like I say, I allow 45 minutes in my diary. That also gives me time, if I've got another one booked straight after, it gives me time to go and grab a quick drink, to go to the bathroom if I need to, etc., etc., etc. But usually half an hour. Okay. Any questions? Any other questions?
Deborah had a question, and then Kathy's got a hand up. Deborah?
Okay, cool.
Hi, I was just wondering about when you do close the sale and they say, yeah, that's great, and they get booked in, and then you get an email a day or so later just cancelling, and you haven't got that opportunity to talk to them to find out why.
That would be my feeling on that is generally, it depends what reason they've given or unprofessionally excuse they've given. That generally says to me that when we had that conversation, I didn't do a proper job, as we talked about on the first 3 steps, and they felt that they needed to. They felt that at the time, yes, this was really good, but they've had time to think about it. And yes, Sam, you can ask a question in a moment. They've had time to think about it, and on reflection that they can't do it. So it depends what they've said in the email, but I would respond with, thank you very much for letting me know. Would you like me to give you a different appointment, or would you like to come back to me in your own time? Because then I've got, rightly or wrongly, and I know different people have a different response to that. But that's generally how, because I feel that they are not ready for the change at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Kathy?
Helen, thank you. That was really useful. I just wanted to check something, because I know you said we've gone step 1 to 5, and I've written down step 1 to step 3. Which bit was classed as step 2?
Hang on, I'll tell you in a second. Step 2 is when we understand the client, when we repeat back to the client what we feel that it is that they need. So it's understanding.
So step 1 is
understanding
why they're.
Yes.
Step 1 is understanding why they've come. Why us, is it? And then step 2 is understanding them. Okay, thank you.
Step 1 is listening to them. It is, why what's brought them to us, but that actually gets them to tell you about it's about their situation. So step 1, we've got to listen and understand and find out what it is that they need. Step 2 is repeating it back so that they know they've been understood.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Helen.
Okay, you're welcome. Sam, I believe you had a question.
Yes. Hi, Helen. So I also do a free 40-minute chat with people. However, the problem that I have is sometimes people ring me up to book that in, and I find that I get stuck on the phone for too long, longer than I would like to be, and I just struggle with that aspect. I find I'm sort of
okay. So when they ring up to book the free chat, you could do several things. Is the free chat face-to-face, Sam, or is it online?
Yes, it's face-to-face. It's face-to-face in person.
Is that your preference?
Yes, yeah. I find it better meeting people face-to-face. Yeah. And I work, because I work from home, I don't have to, I don't have to pay for the space. So
no, you don't have to pay for the space, but also you need to bear in mind, but then actually it's not going to be any different if you're no, forget that. I was just going to say it's your time, but it doesn't matter, because if you're seeing them face to face, it doesn't matter whether it's your time, it's always going to be your time, isn't it?
Sure, yes.
So really, that when they ring up and book, you need to do that within 2 to 3 minutes. All right, about 2 or 3 minutes is my I've done it in.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes when they call you up and they say, oh, hi Sam, I've just been on your website and I'd like to book in for your free consultation, if that's okay. Yes, now you have to control the conversation.
Yeah.
When do you need an after 5 appointment? So in other words, am I going to have to find an evening slot for you? Because this helps me to find a slot for you. Or are you available during the day? And if you're available during the day, what is your best day? Now, this helps. The thing that will help you the most, if you haven't already done it, something you might have done, is if you have your diary organized properly and you have your slots to do those conversations marked out so you know when they are. So you can then say, okay, so I have Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. I've got Thursday morning at 9 o'clock or 5 p.m. and I've got Friday at 12:30. Which of those suits you best?
Yeah.
so that you are completely in control of that conversation.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. And then they'll tell you which one they want, or if that's not suitable, then you need to find another one. Okay, so what I'll do then is, it's lovely to speak to you today, but what I'll do is, as soon as we finish this call in a moment, so then you're telling them that it's not going to go on forever, I will send you the directions of the where to come.
Yeah.
So
I
you
do
know
that.
where you are, etc., etc. Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely
So,
speaking
but
to you.
yeah, what I find is sometimes when people ring up, they actually don't even know at that point that they want to book in for the free chat. Even they're like, I'm just ringing, can you help me, sort of thing. So
If that's the case, you can do one or two things here, Sam. It's the same for everybody.
yeah,
You can either use this model and have a chat with them, do the conversation on the phone,
yeah,
or you can say to them, right, okay, I understand that you need help with this, but I would prefer to have a face-to-face conversation with you.
yeah,
That is a free service that I offer. Would you like to book in for that, so we can sit down?
yeah,
There is, just to see what it is that you specifically need and how I can specifically help you. Okay.
yeah,
But if
yeah.
you're on that telephone conversation when they book in, the other thing that I do say to them is, if they're coming to see me face to face or Zoom call later, if there's any questions that you'd specifically like to ask, make a note and bring it with you.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you have
Okay.
questions, I'm not answering them now, I'm going to answer them on that call. But it's a nice way of saying it.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
So, you can either, if it's one of those calls that I need help with this, can you help me? You either have that conversation there and then, and if you're up for it, I would suggest you do, because they've taken the trouble to call you. So they're in that mode of getting help there and then.
Yeah.
But again, it's your choice. You may not have the physical time. It may be, because they do this, don't they? You've got a client coming in 5 minutes time, and fine well, once you get started on this conversation, it's going to take more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's when you say to them, look, I'd like to talk to you more about this, but I have got a client just about to arrive in the next 2 minutes. So can I book you in for a face-to-face conversation where we can have that chat, just you and me?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's helpful. Thank you.
So, Julie, we'll do our best to send you the one from last month. If you were booked onto that session, you should have had the replay. I know we're having quite a few technical issues with MeetUp itself, actually, to be fair. But if we'll send out the document about converting sales. And I do know that we are still running behind. I do apologise. So, Sarah, is everybody ready to move into some networking stuff?
Yeah, I'm all ready to go. And the questions for the breakout room are, it's in the chat. Your name, where you're located, and the favorite issue you'd like to work with, or if you're not working at the moment, what you're interested in. So I'll put you into rooms. There'll be 3 or 4 in the room. If you find you get into the room and nobody's there, pop back into the main room and I'll reassign you, or just pop your hand up, or I will work it all out. So you know what you're doing. Your name. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm located in Melbourne. I'm really interested in this group. And all you guys. Okay, so your main interest, and make sure everybody has equal time when you're talking. So it's all about networking and talking, but it's also listening. And you may, if you have enough time, ask questions as well. So you have about, was it 10, 15 minutes, Helen?
What in total?
Yeah, about 15 minutes, so about 5 minutes each.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Yep. We'll give you a warning when you're coming out. We'll give you a 2-minute warning when you're coming out. So go fun, go fun, go fun. Let's, as Helen says, let's crack on. For the Aussies, crack on means let's go. Okay, opening the rooms, you'll be invited in.
Oh, cool. Oh, Christine is in room 4 on her own. She hasn't got anybody else with her.
Yes, she will do. Christine's got Deborah and Sharon with her.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it just helps if I slide it down.
Yeah. Kate's into room.
No problem, Kate. Well done. And it's lovely to see you, Kate. Tracy, I
so
believe, is she's logged in
she's in
twice.
twice.
So this is probably the other
She
version.
joined twice. She had an issue, I think.
Yeah.
So
She
was
joined
two
a
of
few
her.
times, didn't she?
Yeah.
So she's joined. Yeah, the version of her that's joined. She has joined one of the groups.
Okay, shall I
So
leave this one? I'll leave this one here.
yeah, I don't know if we can, if we close this one, it may chuck her out. Oh God, this felt like a bloody marathon this morning. Oh, hang on, stop the recording.
Hello, welcome back.
I'm
There's
guessing
little
there's still some
people just
people to come
popping
back.
Yep, I've got 15
Have you had a
seconds and
nice
all rooms are closed.
conversation, ladies?
Yeah.
Yeah, good, good. Because it is always good to connect with other hypnotherapists, because as we all know, it can be a very lonely business on your own, in your office, working with clients. As much as we love working with clients, and that's why we're here, it is always, always good to connect with other people, other therapists, because let's face it, only other therapists understand our, I was going to say issues, actually, our world, what it's like to actually be a therapist and working by yourself in solitary, because sometimes it feels a bit like solitary confinement. And don't take that a negative way. You know, there are days where, you know, like this morning before this call, I don't know whether I actually had an inkling that something was going to happen or not. But it got to about 9 o'clock now. Sarah and I usually open the meeting a little bit earlier, so we have a quick chat, make sure we've got everything sorted out. Clearly not early enough this week today. Do you know what? I was kind of feeling like I had to get out and have a walk and get some of my energy flowing again and sort of start moving. Because sometimes we need to do that before we work with clients. Sometimes we just need to get out into the world. So make time, if you can, to have actually out of your office, face-to-face conversations and chats and meetups with other people and other therapists. Okay, so if you live near me, because I know a couple of you do, especially you, Yvonne, if you live near me and you want to have a meetup and a chat, I'm more than happy to meet you, and I can go out for a walk, we can have a coffee, we can have lunch together, whatever you want, because it does us all good to get out of the office. And you'll be surprised once you get moving what ideas start to flow, what other things start to come into your mind, because you've actually started physically moving and got your energy going again, whereas sometimes it gets stuck. And I'm sure, sorry, Sarah, I'm going to drop you right in it now. And I'm sure Sarah's quite happy to meet any of you if you live near her too. And Rebecca, let's go the full hog and drop Rebecca in it too. So if you are near Rebecca in Perth, or you're near Sarah in Melbourne, because Melbourne's only, you know, this little big place, this little tiny place here, so you all live together in the same street, then please do get in touch with them.
So
Right,
Julie, Anita, Martin, Vinthi, I think that's all from Australia. We're going to go on a road trip to go stay with Helen. Is that okay?
Oh my God.
yes, yeah. Love it. Come on in.
She's providing the coffee and the home, and she's got a beautiful cat, so we'll be fine.
Oh, she's been a right pain in this read at the moment, but that's a whole other story. If you want to know about Molly, just get in touch with me.
Cool. So we are now going to be looking at, if my screen works, yes, imposter syndrome. So what is imposter syndrome? I thought this might be Molly, but I think it might be Rebecca's cat more than your cat. So imposter syndrome is loosely defined as doubting your abilities. Who does that? Who doubts their abilities? And feeling like a fraud or a charlatan or a fake. The fraud, charlatan, or fake are different names for the same thing. It's questioning whether you're deserving of anything. You're comparing yourself to others. You're stopping yourself from achieving. Or on the other hand, it could push you to do things that so you can say to yourself, I told you so. Or you can say to a friend, I told you so. And you're not feeling your best about doing anything or just being, basically. You're downplaying your achievements. It's failure energy. You're hesitant to talk about what you do or what you've done or any awards you've got. That's me. And if you're in Australia, it's that tall poppy syndrome as well. The English, what they do over here, if you sort of start talking yourself up, they chop you down. It's called tall poppy syndrome. So who has it? I believe we all have it. I know I definitely have it. It might be just times or it might be moments. We compare ourselves to others. We're always thinking, I'm not good enough. The amount of times when you're working with the client, especially I'm working with a client, and it comes down to I'm not good enough or they're better than me. How many times do you hear people and you think they're better than me or they can do it better than me? I mean, I think that I listen to people, you know, who are doing talks, and I think, oh my God, they know more than me. And then I think, well, no, actually, I know as much as them, probably even more of them of it on a different subject. They're good at that, but I'm good at this. So I have to sort of talk to those different parts of me to calm myself down. But imposter syndrome stops us in our tracks, causes procrastination, asking ourselves all the time, what if this happened or that happened? And it's usually the negative. What if I faint? What if my knicker elastic goes? What if this? What if that? You know, that's a bit extreme, but you know, you could have that thought. And it's usually because of old patterns. 9 out of 10 times,
go in the car.
It comes from something that happened in our formative years, usually from about year 0 to 10. There's something stuck in our brain, going round and round and round, causing that rumination. I can't do that. I'm not good enough. Resonating with anybody? So what are the problems? Problems are hiding, doubting our abilities, doubting ourselves, comparing ourselves to others, believing I'm not good enough, feeling shame, wearing a mask, excuses to not perform, you're pushing too hard to perform. So that shame is a huge one.
And I don't have them.
Shame is a huge one. I went through this quite a lot. I was in school, age 11, in a classroom full of people, and I did this thing that I thought everybody did. So we were going around the class, history lesson, hated history. We had the textbook, we're all given a paragraph each to read. I used to count the paragraph, count the people in front of me, practice my paragraph. So I've got it word perfect. So when I got to speak, I was okay. Well, this one time I forgot and got it wrong. I counted the wrong amount of people in this paragraph. Got to my paragraph, and it was the paragraph above mine, double the size of mine, full of all these words, big long words that I stutter over. I read my paragraph, everybody laughed. Even the teacher made comments. I meant to feel this big, and the shame I felt and the humiliation I felt stayed with me for, let's say, a good 20 odd years. And it wasn't until I found this work and was able to clear that out that I started then coming back to me, and it stopped me from speaking in public. It would have stopped me being on Zoom. It would have stopped me doing this. So I cleared that out to allow me to be able to talk. So how do we work with imposter syndrome? Well, we recognize thought patterns. We recognize our actions, what happens for us. So when we're speaking, I'm going to use public speaking because, again, this was a big one for me. What happens? You know, that sensation. What's the sensation? The butterflies come up. We reframe that. If we know what that is, we can reframe that. There's excitement. Everybody gets that. That's just reframing it. We recognize the thought patterns. What do you say to yourself when you're about to step on stage or go on Zoom or talk? You know, you probably notice me. I go red a lot when I talk. That's just heat coming up because it's energy. But I can get embarrassed about that. And the more embarrassed I get, the worse it gets. But now I just think, you know what? That's me. I don't care. Because I'm recognizing my thought patterns. I'm recognizing my actions. So I'm normalizing. What we do as well when we're working with people, we are working with their subconscious to clear this out. So I got rid of my shame and my humiliation being in that history lesson to allow me then to be able to teach, to be able to talk, to be able to do what I do. Because I love doing it. I get excited by it. I'm gaining confidence by doing it. So we have an idea. I have an idea. Yeah? Okay, this is my idea. Great. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Yes, I'm going to do it. I'm crap. I'm not good enough. Others are better than me. Doubt, shame, all those feelings. What happens? What happens if this? What happens if no one listens? What happens if people, you know, go about public speaking? What happens if people just leave? What's the solution? Does it matter? In the long run, does it matter? You're giving it a go. Progress is better than perfection. So what idea have you had that stopped you? That you said, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I'm crap. What would happen if you were good enough? What would happen if you could do it? What would change? Okay, so we've got two sentences here. I'm looking over here because I've got 3 screens and my big screen's over here. I'm good enough and I'm not good enough. Can you just pop into the chat what you see the difference is with those 2 sentences? I am good enough and I am not good enough. Let's pop into the chat. What's the difference between those 2 sentences? Right, you're coming up with good. Well, the difference is, any more coming up? The difference is the word not. Same here. I can, I cannot. What's the difference? Again, not. So what does that mean? Not. What does the not mean? Where are you holding your not? I'm going to take you on a journey to find your not. So we're going to use I'm not good enough. If that's not resonating with you, then I'm going to use I cannot. I know we abbreviate a lot to I can't. We've made it into another word, but use that not. So would you like to go onto a journey to release some of this imposter syndrome that anybody's feeling? I'll take that as a yes. So what I'd like you to do is just find a comfortable position. Let's release this knot. Find that comfortable position. Wiggle and giggle to find it. That's it. Wiggle and giggle. Find that comfortable position. Then I invite you to just close your eyes. Just close your eyes. And take a deep breath in. And when you're ready, just sigh it out. Just let it go. Take it again, another breath in. And hold that breath. Hold that breath. 1, 2, 3. And just sigh it out. That's it. Letting it go. Going down deeper and deeper and deeper. Big breath in. Hold. 1, 2, 3. And sigh it out, letting it go. Going deeper and deeper into you. Deeper and deeper. The deeper you go, the better you feel. And the better you feel, the deeper you go. We're going on a journey together to find the knot and loosen that knot. That's right. We're going to loosen the knot. As you breathe in and breathe out, coming deeper and deeper into you, allowing yourself just to settle down and come into this deep space within you. When I count from 3 down to 1, you'll go in even deeper. And as I snap my fingers, your inner wisdom or your inner knowledge will take you to a situation which deals with the cause of this knot. Get ready now. Breathe deeper and deeper. 2, deeper still. And 1. Snap. Your inner wisdom is taking you to that situation. Take a deep breath in and go even deeper. That's right. Take a deep breath in and go even deeper. Ask yourself your own questions. Ask yourself, how do I resolve this? You have all the answers and all the knowledge inside of you to resolve this knot, to loosen it, to change the feelings. That's it, delving deeper and deeper into you to find the knot, the cause of the knot, the cause of I'm not good enough or I cannot do whatever it is. You're finding that knot, finding that cause. Your inner wisdom, your inner knowledge is taking you there. You're resolving it. Go ahead now and do this. I'll remain silent for a moment or two and allow this process to happen. Going into that feeling, into that knot. Loosening that knot. Unraveling that knot. That's it. Unraveling that knot. I'd have to pull strands away to unravel it. Feel that knot loosening. If you need to allow this process to keep happening in your dreams tonight, that's okay. You're just loosening that knot, letting go of that knot, resolving whatever needs to be resolved. Feel the integration as it integrates within you. As you let go, as you release, as you resolve. Your inner wisdom, your inner knowledge working with you. You have all these amazing abilities inside of you, all this knowledge, all these resources. Thank that knot for being there. Allow the learnings to come in. You've learned what you need to learn from it. Now allow yourself to say to yourself, I am good enough, or I can do whatever it is you want to do. I've got this. I'm good enough. Feel that confidence rising in you. Allowing that confidence now to come in. You've got this. You can do it. I can do it. I've got this. I am good enough. Confidence is part of you. It's in every cell of your body, into every area of your life, every fiber of your being. You're allowing yourself to ooze confidence, breathe confidence. It's now time to thank your inner wisdom, your inner knowledge, your inner knowing. Thank it for taking on this journey. Thank you it for loosening this knot, or resolving this knot, whatever it's done. And you can work with your inner knowledge, your inner knowing anytime. So when you're ready, just take a deep breath in. And very slowly, as you let that breath out, feel the energy coming all the way back through you, all the way back through your body. Bring you very slowly, very gently back to the room. And when you're ready, just open your eyes.
Welcome back.
How do we feel? Any comments, any observations, any questions?
Sarah, I wanted to share that I felt like I was wrapped in rope, like all around my arms, like I was completely trapped like this, because I was focusing on the cannot, and then it was like trying to untie the knots with my arms bound. So it's really, really interesting experience, but loosened them and then they fell to the floor.
Fantastic.
Which is cool.
Well done. Yep.
Nice.
So if anybody sort of realised the knot is also the knot. So NOT and KNOT. So that was great, Kathy, that you felt the rope, because that would be your knot. So there was something stopping you from moving forward.
Cool.
Beautiful. Anybody got any questions about the process, imposter syndrome? That's just one belief or two beliefs I used there. There's many, many, many more. Any questions? It's just about keeping moving forward, recognizing what's there, looking at our actions, what's our thought patterns, what's our actions, what's going on for us, so that helping ourselves then helps our clients. So we're just moving forward and working with what we've got. Now, Helen, Rebecca, and myself are running a full imposter syndrome workshop. Is imposter syndrome an imposter in itself? Well, we'll be delving more into the imposter syndrome and what it is, and different techniques of how to work with yourselves and then working with your clients. I don't know about you, but I get so many clients that it comes down to, I'm not good enough. There's techniques and tips to work, I can't get my words out. Techniques and tips and tricks to work with them. I don't know, if you in the room have been in my classes before, and some of them are students and graduates from the academy. I've seen the growth in the students from day one to when we finish, and getting rid of that belief of I'm not good enough. And I've got one of them in the room today who is just, I'm one proud mama, Julie Makin. At the weekend, she popped into class and she was absolutely amazing. And when I first knew her, I know certainly she would have the belief I'm not good enough. She used to sit at the back of the room and be a little mouse, and now she roars. And she stood up in the class and she taught. So wanted to mention that. So I know those beliefs can go by working with them, and the more you work with them, the more the confidence comes in. Anything, Helen, you want to say about the training?
There's the training is basically designed to help you help yourself, but also for you to help your clients. And this is something that you will come across reasonably regularly with clients, and they talk about them not being good enough, and you know, and I think it's something that we can all resonate. It doesn't matter who you are, at some point there's going to be, oh, do you know what, I'm not really, I don't think I can do this, I'm not good enough to do this, there's somebody better than me. But do you know what, the cold hard fact is that there's always going to be somebody better than you in somebody else's opinion. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough to do it. It means that somebody is better for client X maybe than you. It doesn't mean they're better than you. It just means that they resonate better with you, with other people. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. And, you know, it is kind of learning to shake it off and go, oh, what the heck? I'm going to do it anyway. It doesn't matter. There was another observation that I made. The UK time for that training is 8 o'clock in the morning, not 10. It's 8 a.m., not 10 a.m. It's usually 8 a.m. till 12. So if you're in the UK, it's up nice and early, finish for lunchtime, excellent rest of the day. The other times are okay. And I do believe if you're in New Zealand, I did make a note of it. I'll tell you in a second once I find my notes. If you're in New Zealand, it's 8 p.m. start. It's always a really late one for New Zealanders. And I believe that Binti, I think you asked for the price. If you are in the MeetUp group and you've been registering for these meetups, we've got a very special price for you. If you're outside of that, in Australian dollars, it's 297 Australian dollars. Or if you're UK, it's £152-ish, roughly. It depends on the currency exchange. That's if you're outside of this meetup, if you've not joined the meetup group. If you're in the meetup group, like all of you are, the special price for you is 197 Australian dollars, or in the UK, it's £97. So that's quite a nice little saving for you for there. And as always, we will record the training so that if you want to go back and watch it, you can do. If you're, oh, do you know what? Blast. You would pick that weekend, ladies, wouldn't you? It's the one weekend I can't do out of the whole month. That is okay, because we have the recording and you can do the recording. And then after you've done the training, if you want to, you can call any one of us, and we will have a one-to-one with you to answer any questions that you have and anything that you might not have been, you know, I didn't quite understand that. Can you just explain that a bit more? And we'll be happy to do that for you. Anything else you want to say, Sarah?
Getting rid of anything like all the negativities, all this knots, will help you then convert your leads, will help you then talk to people, will help you listen more, because you're not listening through your filters. So it'll help you then help your clients even more. This is what I found over the years.
And to be fair, it's not just a client thing it's going to help you with, it's a life thing that it will help you with. So when an opportunity pops up saying, I'm going to pick on Deborah, I'll pick on you. When Deborah gets that invitation, Deborah, we'd like you to come and do a talk for us, and how much will you charge? She's going to go, lovely, I'd love to come and do a talk for you, and I'm going to charge this much. And be confident with that.
I just said you can't afford me.
I like that. How much have you got? But it's not just, you know, everything we do, and you know this as therapists, everything we do is not just about working with clients for you, it's about the bigger picture, the whole of everything. So it will help with everything else that you do in life too. Equally, and I know Sarah and I have talked about this, and Rebecca, actually, we've all talked about this. Sometimes we have clients that have imposter syndrome, they're quite well aware of it, but they don't want to get rid of it because they use it as a motivator, as a driver. But how about we change the negative aspect out of that imposter syndrome and keep the driving force. How about we do that? All interesting stuff, all interesting different ways of looking at it and thinking at it. But you know, as always, it's the three of us with this training. So it's a bit of Sarah, a bit of me, a bit of Rebecca. We like to have fun, so don't honestly think you're going to sit there and it's going to be, it might be full on, but there's going to be lots of smiles, there's going to be lots of fun, lots of laughter, because that's one big thing that the three of us have in common. If you haven't already noticed, we do like to have some fun, whatever we do, whether it's these trainings or these sessions, or whether it's actually proper training. We like to have fun with whatever we do, and that goes across everything. And part of that is because we are very passionate. And those of you that may have done the laughter training that we did in October last year, oh my God, I don't think I've ever had so much fun doing a training session in all my life. But anything else, Sarah? Well, I rattle on too much.
You can rattle on. That's an English phrase as well for the Aussies. Rattle on. Let's. Has anybody got any questions for us about imposter syndrome? Anybody got any comments about the process that I've just taken you through? So that was connecting to your inner wisdom or your inner knowledge. It's called deep subconscious healing. So I was taking you on a journey inside of you and you doing your own work.
When is the that other training, please, Sarah?
30th of September.
30th. Okay.
Thank you. Which is a Saturday. So it's
okay. Thank
you.
Yeah, I've got that down.
8 a.m. UK time, 5 p.m. Australian time, and 3 p.m. I think 2 p.m. Perth time. New Zealand time, 8 p.m. Hey, I'm a converting clock.
Grand final day.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, exciting. We have a day in Australia for a bank holiday, as it's called in England, for a footy team. Hey, move to Australia and we have a day for a horse race, a day for a footy show. What else do we have? King's birthday now, we have a day. Australia Day, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So any excuse for a holiday.
That's because they all want to have Barbies on the beach, isn't it? Does anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to say about anything we've done today before we wrap everything up?
I would like to reiterate when Helen was, and it was a big aha moment for me, when Helen was talking about converting the leads earlier on, and the sentence that she uses is, how does that sound to you? I just went, oh, if you have someone using their VAK system or their representational system, you could say, instead of saying, how does that sound to you? If they were kinesthetic, you could say, how does that feel to you? Or if they're visual, how does that seem to you? I just thought it's just a twist, and it might sort of get them to convert a little bit easier because you're talking their language. That's what I heard from that one, and I just went, oh, I like that.
Okay. So if there's no further questions, it is coming up for lunchtime here in the UK. Good. I'm pleased you've enjoyed that, Yvonne, and you, Anita. Thank you. And I'm pleased you've got something out of it. Next month is, hang on a second. The date is the 3rd of October. And Rebecca and Sarah will be helping you to create and develop your 30-second pitch. or the elevator pitch, or you met a guy in the pub pitch kind of thing, just very quickly, very succinctly to tell somebody what it is you do, how you do it, that kind of thing. Lovely. Thank you, Binti. That's lovely. Thank you. You will also be doing online inductions, is that correct?
Oh, yes. So lots of play and working with how to work it with online inductions, how to put someone in trance online very quickly, very easily. At the snap of a finger.
Cool.
I could do
And
it
I
now,
believe there's going to
Julie.
be lots of practice next month, I believe.
Yes, so it'll be
I'm
into
gonna be
breakout
here.
rooms. There will be lots of practice on online inductions.
Cool.
So if you don't
Cool.
work online, or if you've got that imposter syndrome saying, I can't do it, come to this session because I'll show you how to do it.
Excellent.
Because you can do it and it's easy because you have the confidence to do it.
Just remember, as always, you need to register for that meeting, because you will then get the link for that meeting, and we'll do our absolute best to make sure it's the correct link this time.
We're learning. We're learning.
Oh yeah,
and we're still smiling.
Okay, so yeah, you have to. So without further ado, okay. Sorry, I was just catching up with the comments. So without further ado, thank you so much for being patient, and thank you very much for joining us today and being so very much a big part of this little community that we are actually growing every month. So have a lovely rest of your day or evening or afternoon. I think I've covered everybody. Morning, afternoon, evening. Have a good sleep, and we will see you next month. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
You are welcome.
Bye.